Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The topic of my discussion now is transformation of sentences, assertive to interrogative. Before going for transformation, we need to have some idea about assertive sentence and interrogative sentence. What is an assertive sentence? An assertive sentence is nothing but a statement or declaration on an assertion. See the example. Rafi is reading a book. So there are many who cannot differentiate between assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, or it is an imperative sentence, optative sentence. For them, I'm just giving a technique. That is, you will try to find out the subject at the very beginning. So if you find the subject at the beginning, and if you find that at the end of the sentence there's a full stop, so you'll consider it as an assertive sentence. An assertive sentence is of two types: affirmative sentence and negative sentence. So see the example. The weather is fine. In this sentence, you don't find any no or not. But in the second example, the weather is not fine. Try to differentiate between these two sentences. In the first sentence, there is no use of no or not. But in the second sentence, there is the presence of not. So in affirmative sentence, we don't find any no or not, but in negative sentence, we find the use of no or not. Now, what is an interrogative sentence? An interrogative sentence is a sentence in which we find that there is a question. An interrogative sentence is used to make a question. See the example. Who came here yesterday? Second sentence. Did you join the program? One thing we can notice here is that in the very first sentence, we find the use of WH word or interrogative pronoun who. And in the second example, we find the auxiliary verb, use of auxiliary verb, that is did. So an interrogative sentence may start with a WH word or may start with an auxiliary verb. Now let us have some idea about WH words. Which words are WH words? I have just made a list for you: when, where, why, what, which, who, whom, whose, how. So these words are called WH words, and these words are used in sentences to make interrogative sentences. We also find auxiliary verb at the very beginning to make an interrogative sentence. And if you don't have idea about the auxiliary verb, you cannot use them at the very beginning, or you cannot recognize them. So it is better to memorize it completely, and I have given here the list for you. That is am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, must, need, dare, etc. These are auxiliary verbs, and in the sentence, if you find auxiliary verb after the subject, you'll have to use this at the very beginning. So if you have idea about auxiliary verb, you can recognize them very easily and you can use them comfortably. Now, let us come to the main point and let us know the basic rules of transformation, that is affirmative sentence or assertive sentence to interrogative sentence. So the first thing that we'll have to do, we'll have to use auxiliary verb or WH word at the very beginning. So first task is we'll have to find out the auxiliary verb, and we'll have to use this at the very beginning. Or sometimes we use WH word to make interrogative sentence, and most often we find the use of who in case of making assertive sentence into interrogative sentence. And at the end of it, when we complete the sentence, we'll have to put a question mark. And another thing that is very important, that if we find the sentence affirmative, then we'll have to make it negative interrogative. But if we find the sentence negative, we'll have to make it interrogative. So this is very important. So if the sentence is affirmative, we'll have to make it negative interrogative. But if the sentence is negative, we'll have to make it interrogative. So see the rule. We'll have to use auxiliary verb at the beginning. We'll have to use no or not, or we'll have to omit this. First sentence you see, Shahid has taken his pen. So has is the auxiliary verb. We'll have to use auxiliary verb at the very beginning, and the sentence is affirmative. So we'll have to use not, and we'll have to use contracted not, that is N apostrophe T, and we'll have to use this together without any gap between them. That is, between the auxiliary verb and contracted not, there will not be any gap. So, what is the solution? What solution can we get? Shahid has taken his pen. The solution of it, or the interrogative form of it, will be hasn't Shahid taken his pen? Another example, they are not friends. The sentence is negative, so we'll have to make it interrogative only. And we'll have to use auxiliary verb at the very beginning. So are is the auxiliary verb, so we'll have to use are at the beginning, and we'll have to omit not. It becomes are they friends? Another rule. So if we don't find any auxiliary verb, so what we'll have to do? We'll have to use do, does, did plus base form of the verb and the other part, or we'll have to use don't, doesn't, or didn't plus base form of the verb depending on the sentence. That is, if the sentence is negative, we'll have to use do, does, did, and if the sentence is affirmative, we'll have to use don't, doesn't, didn't, and the main form of the verb. See the examples. People hate corruption. The sentence is affirmative, so we'll have to make it negative interrogative. And you see the sentence is in present tense, so we'll have to use don't, not doesn't, because you see the subject itself is plural, and in case of plural subject we'll have to use don't. If the subject is plural, and the sentence is, and the tense used here is present tense. See the example and see the solution. People hate corruption. The solution of it will be don't people hate corruption. Second example, Shanu does not like music. The sentence is negative. I will have to make it interrogative only. And in this sentence, Shanu, this is third person singular number. And next you see the verb is does. So use auxiliary verb at the very beginning. So does Shanu like music? We'll have to omit not. And the third example, Jahid won the race. And the verb used here is past tense. So we'll have to use did, and we'll have to use not. Why not? Because the sentence is affirmative. So didn't Jahid win the race? And I have told you earlier, after do, does, did, so we'll have to use base form of the verb or present form of the verb. Next rule is, if we find nothing, we'll have to write down anything in place of it. If we find never, we'll have to use ever. We'll have to replace never by ever. First example, let us see. You have nothing to worry about. I have told you in place of nothing, we'll write down anything. And another thing, you find the verb, that is have. And if you consider this as principal verb, we'll have to use another auxiliary verb, that is do, as it is in present tense. It becomes, do you have anything to worry about? Or if you consider this have as auxiliary verb, we can use this as at the very beginning. Then it becomes, have you anything to worry about? Second example, Nasser never tells a lie. So there is no auxiliary verb, so we'll have to use does, because If you just see the verb tells, it gives you the idea that a third person singular number has been used. So s or s has been added with the verb tell. So we'll have to use does at the very beginning. So does Nasir ever tell a lie? The next rule is, if we find at the very beginning of the sentence everyone, everybody, all, none, no one, nobody, etc., we'll use who at the very beginning by omitting the subject, whatever it is, either everyone, everybody, or the words as I have given here. So you'll have to replace all these by who, and you will have to use the next verb that is given. First example: everyone likes an honest man. So everyone is the subject. We can omit everyone by who. So what it becomes? Who? Who doesn't like an honest man? So the sentence is given in affirmative form. We are making this, or we are converting this as negative interrogative. Second example: none cares others. None means no one. This is also in negative sentence, in negative expression. So we'll just make question by omitting none with who. Who care others? Let's see the next example, next rule. If we find the sentence that if the sentence starts with there plus auxiliary verb, whatever may be the auxiliary verb, we'll have to use this at the very beginning, and there, then any or other words as it is. Or we can apply another rule, another word, that is, we can just make question with who or what, depending on the. So if it is person, we'll use who, and if it is a thing or matter, we'll replace it with what. See the examples. There is no use of being so rigid. Just use the auxiliary verb is at the beginning. It becomes, is there any use of being so rigid? Or what is the use of being so rigid? So I am using here what or auxiliary verb is. So both are correct. You can use any one of these. Another example: there is no one who can defy this law. You can change this in this way: is there anyone who can defy this law? Or you can replace there is no with who, then it becomes who can defy this law. Last example of this rule: there are a few people wiser than him. I told you auxiliary verb, so it may be is, or it may be are, or it may be was. So whatever it is, you'll have to use this at the very beginning. So it becomes, aren't there a few people wiser than him? Last rule in this video, and that is, we are converting assertive sentence into interrogative sentence. This is the last rule that I have written here. It does not matter. If the sentence starts with it doesn't matter or it does not matter, you can replace these words with what though. See the example. It does not matter if we lose the game. You can just write down, you just replace this phrase, you can replace these words it does not matter by what though. So what though if we lose the game? So I have tried my best to give idea about converting assertive sentence into interrogative sentence. Now we'll see some sentences, and we'll see the transformation from assertive sentence to interrogative ones. These are given here for better idea, so that you can have some better idea about transformation from assertive sentence into interrogative sentences. See the examples. The car was costly. So affirmative sentence make it negative interrogative. Wasn't the car costly? I have underlined the auxiliary verb, so you can find out this very easily. Second sentence, we do not learn French. So do here is auxiliary verb, and this is negative sentence, so we will omit not and just use auxiliary verb at the very beginning. Do we learn English? So after auxiliary verb we'll have to use subject. Third sentence, no one likes them. So I have told you, if you find everyone, everybody, no one, nobody, none, or no one, you can use who in place of it. So the solution becomes who likes them. Next sentence, see, we must learn English. Must is a modal auxiliary or auxiliary verb. So use this at the very beginning, and this is affirmative sentence. Let us make it negative interrogative. So mustn't we learn English? Next sentence, the man has nothing but a piece of land. So has nothing, has you use this auxiliary at the very beginning, and nothing will be anything. So the solution becomes, has the man anything but a piece of land? And last sentence, bees never remain idle in winter. So you see there is no auxiliary verb, and the subject here is plural, and by seeing the verb remain you can also get idea that this is present tense, and the subject is plural, subject is in plural form. So we'll have to use do. So do bees never will be ever, do bees ever remain idle in winter? So this is all for today. And the last thing, that is I will just give you suggestion, that is if you practice more you will learn more. So if you go for lots of practices, this will be a very easy topic for you. So thank you all. Allah Hafiz.